Have you ever wanted to find out how they do the projection mapping on the castle at Magic Kingdom? Well, hey, you're going to find out today on Annual Pass. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Annual Pass. This is the podcast where we talk about all things theme parks, shows, rides, attractions, fireworks, projection mapping, and more. I am your host, Jack Pattillo, and of course, joining me, as always, is my lovely, beautiful, and talented co-host with the mo-host, Geoff Ramsey. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello, Jack. I just realized we just recorded another episode. This is episode 50.
This is.
What was the other one we recorded?
Episode 49.
49. I just realized for that and this, I am a foot lower than you in the chairs. I look like I'm a kid at the grown-up table.
I'm a boy. That's okay. And also, your camera's up much higher, too, so you're pointing down, so you can look so tiny. It's so small. Hi, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Annual Pass. This is going to be a lot of fun. We got a cool interview set up for you today. We're going to be talking with a gentleman by the name of Justin Glatt, who he works on projection mapping, and he's worked for partners like Disney in the past. And I am very excited to talk to him because this is something that I feel is going to be the next big thing for theme parks.
I agree.
And we're already seeing it a whole lot already. We're seeing it in, like on the castle shows and stuff, like Happily Ever After was kind of the first big one in Florida, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. Even like, the projections on the water screens at Fantasmic, like technically that's projection mapping. There's a lot of cool stuff, and I've got a lot of good questions for this guy, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
And nobody's going to blow off their hand with fireworks.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. A lot safer that way. I think projection mapping and drones that's the future for sure. But don't forget, you can go check us out on youtube.com/annualpass if you want to watch us live. Also, go to store.roosterteeth.com and buy some Annual Pass merch, including our Annual Pass starter kit, our pin starter kit, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's 4 pins with 2 pins of Jeffrey and myself, one of our logos, and one of an Annual Pass written out, and this is all done by Gale Fox, and it's
we
awesome
have
stuff.
Grand designs for a rich tapestry of pin adornment going forward, but it all hinges on people buying this initial product.
We've got there's still a whole bunch left, and I just realized now. I realized Gale Fox did our faces. The other two, I believe, are Josh at Rooster Teeth, who did the logo stuff. So want to give credit where credit is due. But yeah, check out the starter kit. It's 4 pins and the lanyard for a low price over at store.roosterteeth.com. Grab that because the quicker these go, the quicker we can make new ones that you can put on your lanyard. You can also grab the snow globe as well, which we have that one already up in the store right now. Don't forget also to join our Discord over our Discord channel. It's a lot of fun and really cool. A lot of good people in there, including the Rope Drop Running Group, RDRC, which I'm very excited for. We got the springtime surprise, I believe, is actually happening like right now. So it's this weekend. I'm currently in California, and you're with me. We're in Seattle, or we're in San Francisco or LA. We're out at
that's exciting.
AH Live right now while this episode is airing.
Those are fun cities.
They are. We're doing if you're listening to this the day it comes out, we are actually in Seattle doing our first AH Live show. And hey, if you're in LA or San Francisco, you can probably go and grab some tickets at rtxevent.com and see us live in person.
Hopefully you're listening to this on public transport or in the car on the way to the show.
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, the April 2nd and 3rd is for San Francisco and LA. So you got a couple days. So if you're
road trip,
there you go. Go out to LA and watch us. This is going to be a lot of fun. So rtxevent.com if you want to grab tickets for that. But I've got no sort of news or anything.
No agenda.
No, should we just jump right in and speak to Justin? I will say we pre-recorded this interview, so if it looks odd that our shirts change or whatever,
or the height of my chair,
that's the reason why. But it's a fascinating interview. I think you'll dig it. Let's go talk with Justin Glatt. Jeff, we have a very, very special guest on today's Annual Pass. I'm excited to introduce you to Justin Glatt. So, Justin, welcome to Annual Pass. You are a video designer at Disney, or you were a video designer at Disney, right?
Yes, was a video designer.
All right, so what does that mean for someone like Geoff Ramsey who has no idea what a video designer at Disney would do?
All right, first off, yes, I have no idea, but why would you assume I have no idea?
You're the analog for the audience. That's
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
It's okay. No one probably did, at least not outside of the corporate resort structure. There's a whole design team that works for all of Disney Parks Live Entertainment. So that's the group that you could kind of think of that whole group almost as like the Imagineering side of live entertainment. We weren't Imagineers. We were Disney Parks Live Entertainment.
Okay, so live entertainment, what does that encompass, just for someone who might not know anything about Disney?
Yeah, so that would be any performances where you would I would say performers are in it, but not all of our shows had performers in them. They would also encompass the Great Disney term spectaculars. So fireworks, Fantasmic, any of the large scale shows that used to happen at the parks. Basically everything that wasn't attractions, you would kind of consider it like a stage show or live entertainment. We cast a wide net over the resort, and the two entities of Imagineering and live entertainment, sometimes called creative entertainment, there is a huge crossover in the Venn diagram between those two entities. Imagineers worked on live entertainment, and live entertainment would also help in attractions as well. So even though we worked under two umbrellas, there was a lot of crossover between everything that we were doing.
That's cool. And so you were a video designer. What exactly, like, what does that encompass, working with the live entertainment?
Yeah, so I was primarily based out of Disneyland Park.
Okay.
Although I did work in some of the Asia parks as well. I guess a more like accurate descriptor would be like a video systems designer. So I worked with, there was a team at the time, in the before times, there was a team of 7 of us based out of the West Coast park, and we designed the video systems for all of our live entertainment shows. So my primary focus was on the fireworks shows. So it was doing the projection design, doing the projection mapping, or assisting with the projection mapping. That's, farther on when we're in the process, designing the entire, what we would call like the front end system. So how do we get this beautiful media that is created by somebody, and how do we put it on a building? So it's designing the signal flow from how we produce that media in a box, usually some sort of computer, all the way out through the projector to the building.
Wow. That sounds easy. Just press the projection mapping button.
What's the college class that teaches that?
Now you might actually be able to. So take some classes like on projection design. When I went to college, I actually studied lighting design. I actually, when I hired at Disney, I hired into Disney as an attractions operator while I was still in college. And then when I transferred to tech services, which is the like stagehand department in Disneyland, I was certain I was going to be an electrician, a lighting designer, because that's what I wanted to do. That's what I studied in college. And then was introduced to the video world because no one was doing it, and we needed to figure out how to do it. And over the course of my 10-year career there, we figured out how to do it.
So do you, so it sounds like when you hired on, you thought you were going to be hanging gobos and doing like a very traditional lighting design. How do you ever miss it?
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. I mean, I can tell you for certain, when I was crawling through the attics of Main Street, dragging projectors through the attics that were designed for people in 1955 who are, a foot taller than me and much skinnier than I am. I thought, man, if I had just stayed in lighting, I would not. I might still be, on catwalks and dragging cable through the park, but it's I definitely do miss that side of it. There's certain creativity that comes with lighting design that I do miss, but I get to exercise those muscles in a different way.
Absolutely.
Video design.
So for those of you out there who don't know exactly what projection mapping is, so if you've ever seen like a fireworks show like Happily Ever After or Enchanted at Disney World, where they basically take they have something like a building, like the castle at Disney, and then they project something on it that makes it look like something else, or like is lit up, or there's like characters running along it and stuff. That's what projection mapping is. So I was trying to take it back as far back as possible. Some people might not know. As a matter of fact, Enchanted, the new show, not only incorporates the castle, but also all of Main Street USA is all lit up. And I mean, I can only imagine the amount of projectors that go into something like that. If only we had someone we could ask about how many like projectors are required to do something like that. Oh,
So
wait a minute.
at Disneyland Park, so when we put in projection for the 60th show, which is called Disneyland Forever, which started our era of insert adjective forever or Disney product forever show. I'm wearing my Together Forever, our Pixar show jacket right now. But that show was the first time that we did projection on anything other than Small World. But Main Street has, if I remember correctly, 14 projectors, 7 on each side.
Wow.
You can kind of breaks, it's 3 per block, 3 and 4 on block. 14 on Main Street. There are 6 on the castle, and then 3 over at Small World. And then if you get technical, we utilize the projectors at Fantasmic on the mist screens for fireworks as well.
Yeah.
So you could lump those 3 in as well.
Now, we've done shows in the past where we had projectors, and we always had backups as well in case one would go down. So are you duplicating all these projectors, or are they all just kind of one and just fingers crossed that none of them break?
Not for the fireworks system. There are other Disney shows that utilize, like you said, it's we call them we'll usually do like a double stack of projectors. So they'll be projecting in the same area. So if we do have a failure, we also sometimes will do that to increase brightness.
Okay.
That's a forever battle that we have on the technical side versus creative. If every show director I've ever worked with looks at me and says, make it brighter. And I say, cool, give me $1 million. Like it's gonna cost us a lot of time and effort to do that.
Now these projectors you're using are, I'm assuming, nicer than the Epson one I bought from Best Buy to watch football.
Just a hair more. If you think of your, so we usually in projection world, we'll usually talk in lumens, which is a way to measure brightness. It's actually reflected brightness, but your average office projector, maybe off the cuff, if I'm thinking maybe like 1,000 lumens, maybe, and that's a pretty bright office projector. The ones that are on the castle, for instance, are 20,000 lumens.
Wow.
The one that's on actually, I forgot about the Matterhorn projectors. You can actually add an additional projector for the Matterhorn. That's a 30,000 lumen projector.
Good
and
Lord.
The new projectors that we're putting in, and mind you, that's a system that's almost 5 years old at this point. The new projectors that we're using on shows have a laser-based engine. And it's really cool. It's a laser-based light engine that gets upwards of 40,000 lumens. So really, really bright, super, super crisp colors out of the light engine on those laser projectors. And those are, if you happen to ever be in California Adventure and go to the Halloween Oogie Boogie Bash out there, I did the projection mapping for Carthay Circle, and those use the laser projector. So that's why that particular building looks like extra sharp and the colors really pop. And it helps that the building's almost white as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was blown away. Like the first time I saw like the castle had projections on it, it was just like, that structure was built so long ago, and like it completely transforms it. And it's just amazing that the kind of stuff you guys can do. So you're more on the technical side of stuff. How do you work with a creative team? Like, do you design, like, here's kind of what the castle looks like in a 3D space, and then you hand it off to an animator and then they work around that? Or is it kind of a back and forth? What's the process for something like that?
It's a lot of back and forth. So the initial phases of like when we're doing what we would call like a projection study, it's exactly what you said. We will go out and we'll actually do like 3D scans of the castle. So for instance, like I assisted with the new Hong Kong castle. And so like that one, they literally like brought drones out and did like photogrammetry passes to like scan and get a 3D representation of the new castle. And then we'll take it into software and do projection studies and basically do projector layouts and say like, how bright can we get it? How many projectors? Where can we place projectors? How, in what arrangement? And do a bunch of different studies that generate, how bright it'll be, what's the pixel strength, all these things that we have to account for. While all of that's happening as well, because our work with projection mapping is very, very dependent on having a super accurate 3D representation of what you're projecting onto, because especially on like super complicated architecture, getting all of those oh man, what's the word? Ghibli's, just like filigrees and little things and stuff, that getting all of that mapped properly so you don't see stretching where the projection is mismatched. We end up doing a lot of model building on our own. So we'll kind of do first passes of doing like rough models, send that to our content team. They clean it up. We take it back. It's a lot of back and forth of adjusting the model just to get the models correct. And then once we've landed on like, okay, this is our model, then we can send it to our content team or for you or who's ever doing the media. And then they can start the creative process of actually creating whatever the show is going to be. So like these, a lot of these shows have really long lead times because there's so much that has to happen before you can even start making the show.
Oh yeah. Like I know like Enchantment. I'm much more, I lean on the Florida stuff just because I know those parks back to back. And I think I called it Enchanted earlier. It's Enchantment is the new fireworks show.
we were embarrassed.
I know. I'm sorry about
for
that. You. I know they were like testing fireworks for that like 2 years in advance before they launched it. They just launched it last October. And they literally was like, I mean, the amount of work that goes into this lead time is going to be wild.
That's the crazy thing about fireworks designers. And those guys that team is incredible. They literally do magic. If you're talking about like people because the concept of having to back time all of your elements to happen with music. It's hard enough for video and lighting and everything to time perfectly, but to time an explosion in the sky is absolute magic. But their stuff is the crazy part about it is a lot of times for a lot of these shows, they're lucky if they even get to test the show once.
Wow.
Like with actual pyro product. Like I'm pretty sure for the 60th show, I think we only shot, I think it was maybe twice before doing it for an audience, which is like, that's a level of stress that I can't even begin to gather,
I hope someday we actually get someone who works directly on fireworks to come on the show and talk to him.
Like John Eight Fingers.
Those guys are, they're magic. They're all a little crazy, but they're really, really great people. Every pyrotech that I've ever worked with, they're awesome.
I would imagine you guys are kind of on the bleeding edge of projection mapping and that technology and that I guess that burgeoning career field, right? As a medium, are you faced with constantly like not being able to do something when you start a project and then 40% of the way down the road a new technology comes out and suddenly you have more capability? It feels like the technology must be in some ways going faster than you can keep up with. And how does that, if that's the case, how does that inform how you build? I mean, it must create and solve problems for you constantly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the design theory that we go through is like trying to look as future forward as possible. Even now past Disney, that's like kind of my philosophy when it comes to design, because it just like, you don't know. Well, sometimes you don't know. That I will say one of the benefits to having worked for such a large company as Disney is sometimes you are privy to certain roadmaps and stuff. And so you can kind of predict where things are going. We have also had the privilege of having really close relationships with particular manufacturers. So we can actually kind of push R&D in certain directions.
Oh, cool.
I've definitely, there's the particular media server that we use on our shows, which is the computer that actually serves the media. It's you could think of it as the DVD player. It's to put it as simply as possible. It's the thing that's playing the media at the very front end of the system. God, what show was it? I think it was when we were working on Fantasmic 2.0. There was this thing that I was trying to do, a particular effect that I needed to adjust the media in a certain way, and it just wasn't doing what it was doing. And I was standing next to the guy who literally writes the code for this thing. And I look at him and I go, "Hey, you see what I'm trying to do, right?" And he kind of looks for a second, and I watch him open up his laptop and he starts typing away. And he hands me a thumb drive. Like 10 minutes later, he goes, "Try this." And I plug it in and I have a new little effect in my pool and it does exactly what I need it to do.
Oh,
so it's
awesome.
Like, those are the things that definitely are like you benefit from having those relationships, but specifically being at Disney. Like,
yeah,
not every show they send out the dude who wrote it and who wrote the code for the thing.
Now that brings up a good point too. Like for a show like Fantasmic or a Castle show, I mean, it's not just projection mapping. It's not just video content. You've got fireworks. You've got music. Is there one big like red button that you hit and everything launches at the same time, or is it like 4 guys just all like
all turning the key at the same time? Yeah,
like
nuclear football.
It's closer to that, right?
Okay.
So fireworks, the fireworks show, has, from a tech standpoint, as far as operators go, probably has less people than you think it would. Pyro has a fairly sizable crew for safety reasons and for operating standpoints or whatever, but all of those shows. So there's a position on fireworks that's literally called show control.
Okay.
And you are in, right. And so, while it's not as fun as like button go, it is, because those shows like fireworks and Fantasmic and kind of spectaculars as a whole, because like you said, there are so many elements that have to be perfectly timed. They do all run in sync off of like a master clock. And so there's that the stage manager calls, all right, everyone, it's a check-in, like, all right, everyone ready for show? Good. All right, show go. And then it's 3, 2, 1, and you're off to the races. That was my favorite thing to do when I was a tech working on fireworks. There's a Main Street position. We were kind of responsible for like the Main Street projectors, like checking them and stuff like that. And so I would go up on the rooftop with the pyro operator, and you could kind of just look over Main Street at the top of the show. And it was always fun because inevitably, it was really interesting. Kids would always notice me up there. Adults very rarely like look up at the rooftops and notice people. So I'd always like find kids and look and wave and whatever. And then it was really fun because I have a clock up on the rooftop that shows the countdown to show. Mm-hmm. And so I could kind of like get their attention and like count down with them and on the 0, and then, boom, and fireworks happen. And it was always like, it's just like those little like magical moments that you can like create for a little kid, and I'm sure they're like, oh, look. And, you kind of back away so the parents don't see you. And it's fun.
You're like the Santa Claus of Disneyland, where you're just like kids know you're there and you exist. And the parents are like, what are you talking about? There's no one on those roofs. You can't even get up there. That's funny.
Exactly.
Hey guys, let me take 1 minute here to tell you about our sponsor today on Annual Pass, and that is RTX, the best convention in the world. Not only that, there's a podcast festival happening during RTX. I don't know why I said happening like that. Happening during RTX 2022. You like podcast? I'm reading copy now, so this isn't me talking. This is me reading copy now. You like podcasts? Did you know that there's a podcast festival at RTX Austin this year? Podcasts of all kinds will be going to Austin, Texas, July 1st through 3rd to do live recordings of their shows, and you could be there. That's right, you listening and or watching right now could go to the podcast festival. Annual Pass is going to be there. I'm just going to say, if you ever wanted to see us record live, that's going to be a place to do it. Add some funds to your summer plans. Come see your favorite podcast in person and discover new favorites at RTX Austin. RTX Austin takes the best in podcasting, gaming, and animation and brings it all into Austin, Texas for one unforgettable weekend. RTX is like the best time ever. You should absolutely go if you haven't ever done it before. Step into the exhibit hall. Join me with you. Join me with you? That doesn't make sense. Join me now as we step into the exhibit. Jeff's not here. Jeff! We're going to the exhibition hall. We'll see stuff. He's not responding as much, but that's okay. Step into the exhibit hall and be transported to another world filled with cosplayers, live gaming, indie artists, and more. That's right, some amazing artwork. I love going down the indie artist lane and finding cool stuff, maybe even like a nice candle too, just saying. It's always good times. Of course, health and safety is our number one priority. This is the important stuff right here. Masks will be required during the event, and we will follow city guidelines as well. If you're unable to attend, if you're unable to attend due to COVID, we will work with you to postpone your badge for the following year or request a refund. So we're being very careful about that. So please, our safety and your safety is our number one priority for this whole thing. We want everyone to have a good time. Now, if you go to bit.ly/RTX Austin 22, all lowercase, bit.ly/RTXAustin22, numbers 22, to grab your badge for RTX Austin and get ready for a weekend filled with the best of podcasting, gaming, and animation. That's bit.ly/RTXAustin22. That's bit.ly/RTXAustin22 to get your badge today. See you in Austin, July 1st through 3rd. You can always stay to the 4th, too, and see fireworks. That's always fun, or, go, like, I don't know, something peaceful and relaxing. I don't know if Ellie's going to be here. She's been walking back and forth across my desk this whole time. But RTX Austin is going to be a lot of fun. Annual Pass is going to be there. It's going to be our first in-person RTX that Annual Pass will be represented at. So you can come out and say hi. We'll be doing something fun on stage. Maybe we'll get some guests. Who knows? It's going to be lots of fun, but check it out if you feel up to it. If you want to come to Austin, a beautiful city in the middle of summer, maybe go for a run. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but come on down. So that's going to be it for our sponsor this week. Again, thank you very much, RTX Austin, for sponsoring Annual Pass. Let's get back to the show. Let's just try that one more time. Take it back to the top. Let's get back to the show. Much better. I do like the idea of like a NASA mission control where it's like all, like Pyro, we good? Go Cap. Anyway, that's a whole
that's
dream
what it kind of
scenario.
looks like. The control room is it's kind of it's not exactly tiered, but it's stations and big monitors up in the control room and stuff like that. It's close to it. It's not as cool as NASA, but
instead of like the big world map, it's just like, the Disneyland map, whereas like you can see all
there is one actually.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so you can see all the lights.
No, okay, so like heaven forbid anything ever go wrong with the show, right? Mm-hmm. No one wants anything to ever go wrong. But have you ever encountered any sort of like, I don't want to say catastrophes, but anything ever break down mid-show where it's like, oh, okay, that's rough?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I part of our job too is things again, just kind of like the other thing, like things probably go wrong more often than you would think.
Yeah.
And when I say go wrong, I mean like minor stuff.
Yeah.
A lamp goes out on a light, but it's like Disney works in like safety in numbers. When you have literally 150 moving lights on top of the roofs, one goes out, you're not going to notice.
Yeah.
We'll notice because we look at it every day, but your average guest doesn't.
Okay.
Same thing with projectors. We kind of try to design it in a way where if we don't have active backups, if you lose a projector maybe on one side of the castle, it won't be like super noticeable because it's kind of being covered by other things. And if you look really closely, but no, at least in my tenure of working in the parks, there was no like major catastrophe, just little equipment failures here and there.
Well,
yeah,
that's good to hear.
How stable are these things? Like, do you have to worry about a pigeon landing on the projector and then somebody has to go up and turn the ring to the right?
No, so all of our, at least we strive to, most of our projectors are in like weather enclosures. So they have like an enclosure with fans to keep them cool. Some of the newer projectors that get even hotter have like a whole little condenser unit, like a little air conditioner thing. Wow. Because they get really, really hot. Most of the time, I would say it's other elements that you have to worry about, like at Disneyland, like the windows not opening and blocking the lens and stuff like that. But the elements, they're more or less protected from the elements. Dust is probably the biggest issue you deal with there.
Now, see, I would think it would be like guests, because individuals are fine, smart, but like when you get a massive crowd, that's when people can become jerks or like, hey, watch this. Like, oh, I see a box. I'm going to throw my Mickey ice cream at it. Like that's,
I think we benefit almost from the same thing of like adults not looking up on the at the rooftops, that like we employ the same tactics that Imagineering does, and that like things are hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
Like
lots of go away green, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I don't think you spent a lot of time in Disneyland Park, but the times that you're there, I bet you've probably never noticed the projector for the Matterhorn.
Yeah.
And it's a big green pole in a big green box sitting right across the street from the Matterhorn, and most people just don't. You kind of just accept it as being part of the tree line over there.
We have to take a photo next to that projector.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely. Next time we go.
Yeah, we're gonna be in Los Angeles soon, so we'll go find the pole and the projector and go take a selfie next to it.
I love the idea that it's dust, though. I mean, it makes total sense, but it's like we have millions of dollars of this projection equipment, and canned air is how we fix it.
Literally, that's part of the tech's jobs of like once a month or sometimes more, depending on the season, of like go out and blow out the filters.
Oh, man.
Like that's
wow.
Lamp busts.
So you got to go and actually install some of these projectors. Like, did you see any cool hidden stuff? I mean, like, obviously you've been in places that like no one gets to go, but did you see any like Imagineers had like etched their names like behind windows or anything, and any cool like Disney
I can't
lore?
Confirm or deny that my name is somewhere in the main street.
Okay.
Actually, not in the attics. But yeah, I mean, you see that all over the place. It's great because those places are like time capsules, and you can see like literal generations of people who have, signed their name or added a thing to it or whatever. And it's like especially the Main Street buildings, because those were original. Those were built in 55. And so having them been there for so long, and it's those attics that no one goes into, other than us. It's a unique experience to see like what's up there. It's actually some of the coolest stuff that's up there is all of the lights that are on Main Street, all the like peanut lights and stuff that chase and move. Those are like still old school 1950s like mechanical chasers. So little, none of it's digital. It's all mechanical. Little, it's really cool.
Oh, that's so cool. That's kind of stuff you don't think about, but it's like, hey, it works. Like, don't if it ain't broke.
Yeah.
And so, man, that is so cool. I'm so jealous that you got to experience that, because that's like a side of Disney that you don't think about. I mean, ideally, your average guest, you're going to walk in, you're not going to think like all you see is front of house, front like on stage is what they call it at Disney. But as soon as you step behind those doors, those cast member only doors, that's where it gets interesting for me. That's the kind of stuff I love. And like, even like when, I did the college program back in the day, and that was a blast. And but like everything's changed since I've been there. But even when I did the Disney Marathon, some of my favorite parts were running backstage. Like when you pass through Magic Kingdom, you run through the castle and stuff. But then you go back behind, and there were like the parade barns where they had all the floats and stuff. It's like, oh, there's a building to hold that, obviously. But when you're there as a guest, it's like they materialize when they come through that gate over by Splash Mountain. And so that's the kind of stuff I'm really into. And I'm so incredibly jealous that you got to go climb through the attics up there in Main Street. That is so cool. Man.
It was cool. Yeah. Disneyland's far more cramped backstage than Disney World for sure.
Yeah.
But they make do.
Yeah. Awesome. So you were no longer with Disney. Where have you moved on to now?
I moved on into the film and TV space. With everything that's happened in the world, pandemic and whatnot. There was it's time for a shift. So still working in the entertainment space, just applying the same experience, or all the experience that I got at Disney, and applying that into a different medium of storytelling.
That's cool.
So it's fun. It's a different pace, but it's just as challenging and just as engaging as it was at Disney. So it's good.
That's cool. I love like creative people are always my favorite people to talk to, because like you get to do stuff and you get to experience things and try stuff and do things that no one else can.
Yeah.
And like, all right, you're literally on the cutting edge. It's like who's done this before? I mean, really before Fantasmic, there wasn't a whole lot of like water projection. Like that was one of the first shows to do that kind of stuff. And it's like I love things like that. Like who thinks to do that? And
these specialized careers that only a handful of people on Earth maybe get to participate in.
Yeah,
it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. No. So over your tenure at Disney, what was your favorite thing to work on?
Oh man.
That's a good problem to have. That it's hard to think of something so cool.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's really cool because it's like varying experiences, right? So it's like I definitely will always have a place in my heart for Disneyland Park, and specifically the fireworks team, just because I did so much work in and around that show or those shows. But I think for me, getting to go to Shanghai and open a show in Shanghai Park, that was definitely like a bucket list item for me, because a lot of times I've gotten to assist on projection studies and designs for shows in other parks in Hong Kong and Tokyo, but to actually get to go to the park and implement those designs, that was like another level. So I got to specifically go out for the 5th year anniversary in early 2020 or early last year. I got to go out and do the 5th year fireworks show, and also opened they opened a show in their Grand Theater called Mickey's Storybook Adventure, which is like the spiritual successor to Mickey and the Magical Map over at Disneyland in Fantasyland Theater.
That's cool. Man, so was there any, I mean, like, what was it like working over in Shanghai? I mean, I don't, was there any sort of issues with, you know, like, you're an American, obviously, going over there? I mean, was there any you know, like, any difficulties?
Oh, it's so especially February, March 2020, we were still, you know, height of pandemic, especially here in the States. And it was we had to get a special visa to go over there. They had to, like, Disney had to like send a letter on our behalf to like the Chinese consulate to be like, this is what we're doing. This is who's going, this is who's working, you know, all that stuff. So we had to get permission to come into the country. And then the just myriad of COVID tests and blood tests and QR codes that you had to sign. So like just getting to the country was a huge hurdle. And then once you're there, you have to do 2 weeks of quarantine. And then after all of that, you get to go and work on the show. And then I will say, bar none, the Shanghai team, at least the Shanghai team of technicians and the Shanghai team of the entertainment team over there is like one of the best teams of like entertainment professionals that I've ever worked with, because they care so much about what they're doing, and they just want to learn. Like they're so like that when you come over there, getting to work with some of those technicians, a lot of them, you know, they've been assigned, some of them, I should say, have, you know, been assigned to the shows, and they've never had any they've never maybe done any stagehand work, any tech work before. But they just want to learn, and they want to absorb everything. And they're like the nicest people. And I really enjoyed my time working over there for sure. Cool.
That's like Jeff, like on this show, all you want to do is absorb and learn from me, right? Totally.
Yeah. I mean, for the purposes of this interview, sure.
Awesome. Well, man, thank you so much, Justin. We really appreciate having you on the show. I'd love to go to Disneyland and like maybe have you kind of walk us around,
through,
and like point out stuff that like your average person might not know. So if we're ever in the LA area, we'd love to get you out and go to check out some stuff.
Yeah, you got my number. We can definitely work that out. I would absolutely love to. I haven't been to the park as a guest in quite a long time, so it would actually be a really fun experience to do that again.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't been to Disneyland in like 3 or 4 years. So
in that case, it's a date. We're gonna make this happen.
I love it. I'm
awesome.
Looking forward to it. I
Excellent.
really appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. Well, Justin, do you have anything you want to promote, or I mean, I don't know if you have any like Twitter or anything, or like anything you want to tell people about?
Oh, nothing particular. I think I'm like at JGlatt on Instagram and stuff like that. I'm not at the like 50-year Imagineer level where I can start posting like, you know, cool behind the scenes photos and stuff, because I still contract for Disney every once in a while. So I still like can't just like let all my photos go. But, you know,
you're not a Jim Shull level of, you know, notoriety yet. So that's okay. It's okay. You'll get there.
Yeah. Not yet. I haven't reached legacy Disney.
You'll be the next Joe Rohde.
I was a cog in the wheel. If I do stress anything, is like, I was not the solo, you know, like it was all of these shows take, you know, hundreds of people to put on, not only from an operational level, but from a creative level. Like you said, you never heard of a video designer. There are, you know, producers and creatives and artists and all of these people who go into making these shows. And so I was a cog in a gear in the giant machine, but I do appreciate, you know, being able to tell my small part of it.
Yeah, no, and honestly, that's what I love about Annual Pass is that we're trying to bring on people who are cogs in the wheel, as you would say, because like I'm fascinated by this stuff, and I'm fascinated by all of the people juggling things to make something so magical. So thank you for being a part of that, and thanks for coming on Annual Pass.
Absolutely,
I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, Justin, you have yourself a great day, and we'll see you in LA at some point in the future, and you'll point out projectors to us.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Wow, that was a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
The idea of like him crawling around through like all the buildings on Main Street USA, like, who gets to do that?
I know that's pretty special job.
That is very, very neat, and I am super, super jealous of him. And yeah, man, maybe someday we'll sneak around and somehow get into the Main Street USA buildings.
Go
Probably not.
climbing through the rafters. Yeah,
yeah, right. Or
hanging out in the attics.
Etch our name onto something. Who knows? But yeah, thank you very much again, Justin, for joining us, and I'm very excited I'm excited for more interviews like that. If you are someone or you know somebody who's
someone
that does cool theme park related stuff, maybe something that you don't think of every day, feel free to email us annualpass@roosterteeth.com and be like, hey, I do this for theme parks, and you might be interested in it. Like we got to talk with Liam, who did the smells. Now Justin, who did projection mapping, and like we've talked to a bunch of podcasters. I love getting different perspectives on theme park stuff. So thank you very much, everyone who's been watching that. So now, Jeff, I've got some questions from the audience. I pulled some questions from a previous episode. This is the Journey into Your Imagination with Figment episode from a few weeks back.
Yeah.
I did a run for some reason between the Alicia Stella interview and the Figment episode where I just forgot to ask the audience a question.
Yeah.
Like I just forgot to be like, hey, here's your question to answer and get a theme park map. So instead I have a bunch of questions. I pulled more questions than those. So here we go. Roman Heretic says, if you could take one thing from any of the rides at a theme park, what would you take? So do you know of any props or anything you would yoink from a theme park?
I would take an ET.
You just grab a full
grab a full ET,
like a baby one or one of the full size.
No,
ETs?
a baby one.
A baby,
just
ET?
a little one. Yeah,
a little baby.
Easier to hide.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I
know. I would take.
What would you take?
I would take Buzzy.
Someone beat you to it. So he's gone already. From Granny Command?
I hope that we can recover. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Buzzy, we will find you.
We will.
We will have you recovered.
Our first Red
someday.
Web crossover.
And then on that day, I will take you.
I would take the Golden King Kong from the Mummy ride.
Oh.
The one that's like the throwback to the Kong attraction. Yeah, that one's, I grabbed that.
Very cool.
That'd be pretty neat. Be cool on a shelf. Cassidy Rose 025 says, hi, Jack and Jeff. I've been a fan since the first Minecraft episode. I've always enjoyed listening to you guys over the years. It took me a while to look into Annual Pass, but I've been enjoying it a lot. If you're looking for a big ticket coaster, you should look up the Intimidator at King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia. When I was in high school, I rode it 5 times in a row, only to get a nosebleed a few hours later when we got back home from the park. So between King's Dominion and Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Virginia's got a couple of great parks just a few hours away from each other. I'd love to see you guys at either or both parks sometime.
God, we got to get away from Florida. There's so many other places out there for us to explore.
Yeah.
The Intimidator.
That's
awesome.
You think it's just like a big guy? He's like, huh. And just like throwing his shoulders. He's like, hey, what? Hey, you gotta do something?
Like the muscle-bound bullies stand in line, and they just like, stop hitting yourself.
Yeah.
Stop hitting yourself. And you're like, I just want to get on the ride.
It's a ska world after all, who I think we've read something from them in the past. You asked Jeff which character he'd like to run into at a theme park, so I'll treat that as though you asked the community. Freakazoid, the Tick, or any of the characters from Invader Zim would be fantastic to see. Now that I'm thinking about it, I could go for a ride with any of those other franchises. That'd be fun.
I went through an Invader Zim phase. What was the Gurr? Was that the little cutie?
Yeah.
Running into Gurr would be cool.
That would be neat. The Tick would be great. Spoon. Jackson Cruz says, hey, Jack, love the show. It always makes my shift delivering packages go by really quick. Have you ever heard of Silverwood in Idaho? It's a great amusement park in the middle of nowhere, and you and Jeff should totally check it out.
Once again.
Idaho's got a theme park, Jeff. Let's go to Idaho, get some potatoes, and get some theme parking.
I would love to.
Do you think they have like the tater tot? Do you think they
I'm sure they have all kinds of corn and
let's
potato
go ride the
related.
curly fry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Dude, I bet the food at that theme park is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it's so fried. Everything is fried. Man. We, you know what? We should absolutely do like a road trip at some point where we just go like in a van and go like state to state hitting up theme parks. That'd be a lot of fun.
Hey Ben,
budget that out.
Yeah, we want to hit every theme park in America in one road trip.
I'll see if the Face Jam van is available.
Oh god, yeah. We do have that map, that scratch off theme park map that we could totally start working on. So here we go. And last question. This is a long one. Ace of Aces 007. Since they once again forgot to ask the community question for the week, sorry, I'll throw out another question for the pass holders to answer amongst themselves. What was a random act of kindness that a cast member did for you that totally made your day? This is a sweet question. I like it a lot. For me, there was one year where my family were doing the Magic Kingdom, and I left my magic band in the hotel room and didn't realize it until we got off the bus. Fortunately, this was early enough from the hotel room key was still a separate thing from the magic band, or else I would have been totally screwed. I elected to go back to the hotel by myself while my family went ahead without me, and since it was right at park opening, I was literally the only person standing in the bus line. A passing minivan driver, which is the Uber, but it's Minnie Mouse. They're called minivans. Yeah. Disney's Uber service before Uber was a thing. Pulled up and offered to drive me to my hotel room and back so that I wouldn't be waiting forever for the bus. That guy was my hero that day. I was able to get back to the Magic Kingdom just in time to join my family in line for the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, so I didn't miss a thing. Also, that same day, my sister got unexpectedly called for a job interview to mix up the dates. So someone in the guest relations office on Main Street offered to set her up in a quietish back room so she could do her interview. It's the little stuff like this that are truly magical. That's cool.
That's very cool.
I love stuff like that because it's like the smallest thing can absolutely just make someone's day.
Like the biggest difference.
Yeah, and you never even realize it.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have any cool experiences like that with cast members, let me know. I'd love to hear more positive stories about cast members. So that's beautiful. Jeff, do you have any experiences with cast members yet? I know you're still relatively new.
No, I'm still waiting for that. I'm still waiting for that minivan experience.
All right. Well, since I didn't ask a question that week, I've got a question for you this week. And if you answer it in the comments over on Rooster Teeth, I'll randomly select one winner and we'll mail you a theme park map autographed by Jeff and I.
This is episode 50?
This is episode 50.
And we just did episode 49?
Yeah, we did.
You did ask a question last week.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. But I mean,
you just said since I didn't ask a question last
week.
Well,
for this one, for the Figment episode. So my question for you this week to answer in the comments over on Rooster Teeth is, what has been your favorite interaction with a character in a theme park? So, like, have you had a good interaction? Like, did you bump into Goofy walking around, like, Mickey Circus? Have you seen Chewbacca walking around?
I remember
Galaxy's Edge.
I was a Goofy fan as a kid. Big Goofy fan.
Yeah.
He was my North Star. And growing up. And I like to think in some ways I've modeled my life and career after Goofy.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember, I remember seeing him when I was a kid, and I remember getting in trouble for torturing him. I remember my mom pulling me away from him, being like, "That's too much. That's enough. Leave Goofy alone."
Why are you torturing Goofy?
I don't remember what I did. I think I was just so jazzed. I was just hanging all over him or something.
Man.
And my mom was like horrified. Yeah.
My favorite interaction I've had with a character was when I was working a Great Movie Ride. There was a King Louie. I think I've told this story. There's a King Louie who used to roll around. He would get like a running start and roll, and it was the coolest thing ever. And he was always bouncing all over the place and like really interacting. It was a lot of fun. But other than that, I had an encounter with Mickey at Disney MGM Studios, and he has a sorcerer's robe on. And for some reason, it just like caught me. And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." It was really nice. It was like this really like shiny red robe with this big blue hat. It was really cool. And I was like, "Oh, that's Mickey." And I think it was like right when I started the my college program for the first time.
Oh.
And I was kind of like, "Oh, this is really neat. It's neat to be a part of that and be part of that legacy." So
yeah.
Good time. So, again, answer over at roosterteeth.com. What has been your favorite interaction with a character within a park? And I will randomly pick someone and we'll mail you a theme park map. So that should be fun. And I totally remembered to ask a question this week. We're approaching our year anniversary, Jeff.
Good Lord.
With this is episode 50.
Still time to cancel us.
But that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you again, Justin Glatt, for joining us, telling your story about projection mapping. That is such a cool thing that I'm happy to learn more about. So, yeah. And if you have any cool stuff like that, make sure to email us annualpass@roosterteeth.com. Make sure to grab a starter kit, pin set, store.roosterteeth.com. Join our Discord channel. Join the rope drop running group. And
already artsy.
That's it. And Jeff, did you learn anything today? Can you remember anything from when we recorded the interview?
I learned a lot about how the projection mapping works. I learned that I need to keep on the lookout for those very well hidden but right in your front of your face poles that have the projectors in them.
Hidden in plain sight.
Hidden in plain sight. That's very cool.
Yeah, very, very neat.
I'm gonna look at all theme parks differently now when I go in.
Start trying to spot fake rocks and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching and listening. We love you guys. Take care of yourself, and we will see you next week. Bye.